Welcome back to the channel Coins Collector everyone. It is always a pleasure to have you here as we dive deep into the fascinating world of coins, currency, and hidden treasures that might be sitting in your pocket change right now. Today we are going to take a long journey into the story of the 1979 1-cent USA coin. Yes, the simple penny that many people overlook every single day could actually be worth far more than you imagine. In fact, certain rare versions of this coin have shocked collectors and experts by selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with current market values reaching as high as $435,000. That is a mind-blowing figure for something as small and ordinary as a copper-colored penny. But behind that incredible value there is a long history, a story of minting errors, production quirks, collector demand, and the hidden details that can turn a common coin into a true treasure. Now before we dive into the nitty-gritty details, let's set the stage. The year was 1979. America was going through economic changes, inflation was climbing, and the U.S. Mint was still producing billions of pennies every year to keep up with demand. These 1-cent coins carried the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner all the way back in 1909. On the reverse we still had the image of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a design that had been introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. So on the surface, the 1979 penny looked just like the pennies that came before it and the pennies that would follow for decades. Nothing seemed unusual at first glance. It was just another small coin made of copper and zinc, produced in massive numbers and passed along in everyday transactions. People used them for gum, for candy, for bus fares, and never thought twice, but here is where the story gets interesting. Within those billions of coins struck in 1979 there are certain examples, certain varieties and minting mistakes that have caught the attention of collectors. Some of them are so rare that they have become legends in the numismatic community. These are the coins that can fetch astronomical prices when they come up for auction. And when I say astronomical, I mean life-changing amounts of money. Imagine going through a jar of old change in your closet or opening up a dusty drawer in your grandmother's house and finding a penny that could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is the dream of every coin collector and treasure hunter out there, and it is what keeps people searching, looking closely at every detail, and paying attention to the year and mint mark stamped on their coins. So what exactly makes the 1979 1-cent coin so special? Why would anyone pay more than a few cents for something that is supposed to be common? The answer lies in a combination of factors. First, the composition of the coin. Most 1979 pennies were made of copper, about 95% copper with a small amount of zinc. That was the standard at the time. But by the early 1980s, the rising price of copper meant that the mint would eventually switch to a primarily zinc composition with only a thin copper coating. So 1979 was right near the end of an era, the last few years when pennies still had significant copper content. That alone gives these coins a special place in history. Collectors often seek out the older, heavier copper cents because they simply feel more authentic and solid in the hand compared to the lighter zinc versions that came later. Second, there are the mint marks and varieties. Coins struck in 1979 came from several mints, including Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, and San Francisco with the S mint mark. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins as well, which were specially struck with sharp details and mirror-like finishes for collectors. Some of those proof coins, especially ones with clear or rare variations in the S mint mark, have become incredibly valuable. For example, the so-called Type 1 and Type 2 mint mark varieties from that year can make a huge difference in the value of a coin. A sharp-eyed collector who spots the difference between a blurry S and a clear, well-defined S might be holding a coin that could change their financial situation overnight. Third, and perhaps most exciting, are the errors. Minting errors are like the holy grail of coin collecting. When something goes wrong in the minting process, whether it is a double strike, an off-center strike, a die clash, or some other mistake, those coins become instantly rare because they were never intended to exist. In 1979 a number of error pennies were produced, and some of them are so unique that collectors are willing to pay fortunes to add them to their collections. One specific 1979 penny with a dramatic error has been reported to sell for as much as $435,000 in the current coin market. That is not a myth. That is the power of rarity combined with collector demand. When only a handful of people in the world have something, and everyone else wants it, the price can climb to staggering levels. As we go deeper into this episode, I want you to think about the journey of the penny. From a coin that most people consider almost worthless, something you find under couch cushions or toss into a tip jar, to a coin that can command more money than a luxury car or even a house. That transformation comes from history, from mistakes, from human curiosity, and from the passion of collectors who keep these stories alive. Every scratch, every mint mark, every variation tells a part of that story. The 1979 penny is more than just a piece of metal. It is a small window into American history, into the craft of coin making, and into the world of hidden treasures. So in today's video we are going to cover the full picture. We will talk about the basic history of the 1979 1-cent coin. We will explain the different mint marks and what they mean. We will look at the key varieties and errors that you need to know about. And most importantly, we will break down the current market values, including the record-breaking examples that have reached over $400,000. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to look for in your own pocket change, how to identify a valuable 1979 penny, and why these coins continue to capture the imagination of people all over the world. So grab your magnifying glass, get ready to dig through your coin jars, and join me on this exciting hunt. Because the next great treasure could be sitting right in your hand without you even knowing it. Welcome back to the channel, and let's jump straight into the fascinating world of the 1979 1-cent USA coin, a simple penny with a story worth more than $400,000. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating stories in the world of modern United States coinage. We are talking about the 1991 1-cent coin from the Denver Mint, a penny that most people would glance at quickly and toss into their change jar. But here is the amazing part. This small copper-plated zinc coin, which you might think is worth just 1 cent, has been making headlines in the collector's world because of its rarity, its history, and most of all its astonishing market value. Believe it or not, some examples of this 1991 penny have sold for over $221,000. Yes, you heard that right, a single cent turning into a six-figure treasure. So get ready, because in this video we are going to break it all down for you. We are going to explore the history of the 1991 penny, why it has become so valuable, what makes it stand out from millions of other coins minted that same year, and how you might even check your own pocket change to see if you have one of these extraordinary coins hiding in plain sight. Whether you are a seasoned collector or someone just curious about the fascinating world of coin collecting, this story is going to keep you hooked all the way through. Now let's set the stage. The year was 1991. The Denver Mint was busy striking billions of 1-cent coins as part of the Lincoln Cent series. The design featured the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, with the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. This was a design that had been in use since 1959, celebrating the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. By the early 90s, the penny was made of copper-plated zinc, a change that had started in 1982 when the United States Mint switched from the traditional copper composition in order to save costs. At first glance, nothing seems unusual about the 1991 penny. It looks just like any other coin struck that year. Billions were made, billions went into circulation, and countless Americans used them every single day, but here is the twist. Not all 1991 pennies are equal. Some of them, because of errors, striking anomalies, or simply because of their pristine condition and grade, have become highly prized by collectors. Imagine a coin that slipped through the cracks during production but ended up being preserved in almost perfect condition for decades. When such a coin is discovered, professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can assign it an exceptionally high grade, such as Mint State 67 or higher. That is where the magic happens. That is when the value skyrockets. Collectors know that rarity plus condition equals demand. And demand is what drives prices into the stratosphere. When one of these coins appears at auction, serious bidders compete fiercely to own a piece of numismatic history. And that is how we arrive at the jaw-dropping figure of $221,000 for a single penny. Think about that for a moment. A coin that costs the mint just a fraction of a cent to produce, a coin that most people overlook without a second thought, can become a life-changing discovery for the lucky individual who happens to find one. So what exactly should you look for if you want to find one of these rare and valuable 1991 D pennies? The first step is to pay close attention to the condition. Coins that have never been circulated, coins that look as if they just came out of the mint yesterday, are the ones with the most potential. That means no scratches, no wear, no discoloration, and sharp, crisp details. Next, you want to check for any unusual features. Sometimes errors like double dies, off-center strikes, or planchet mistakes can dramatically increase a coin's value. And of course, if you believe you have something special, the best course of action is to send it to a professional grading service. The history of the Lincoln cent is one of the most iconic in American coinage. First introduced in 1909 to celebrate Lincoln's 100th birthday, it was the first regular issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Over the decades the design evolved, but the penny remained a constant presence in American life. By 1991, the Lincoln Memorial reverse design was well known, but nobody at that time could have imagined that certain coins from that year would later command such astronomical prices. This is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It is the thrill of the hunt, the idea that treasures could be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a little bit of knowledge to uncover them. Now let's talk about the current market. As of today, high-grade examples of the 1991 D penny continue to attract strong interest from collectors. The record-breaking sales are not just isolated cases. They reflect the growing appreciation for modern rarities and the willingness of collectors to pay top dollar for coins that are both scarce and in pristine condition. While not every 1991 D penny will be worth a fortune, the possibility is always there, and that possibility keeps collectors searching through rolls of pennies, jars of spare change, and collections handed down from family members. Think about it. The penny is often dismissed as the most insignificant coin in circulation. People drop them on the ground and do not bother picking them up. Stores have jars where customers leave them behind without a second thought. And yet, within this humble coin lies the potential for extraordinary value. That is the magic of numismatics. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, the common into the rare, the overlooked into the unforgettable. So as we continue in this video, remember this. The next time you hold a penny in your hand, take a closer look. Especially if it is from 1991 and bears that little D mint mark under the date. Because you never know. That coin might not just be worth 1 cent. It could be worth thousands, tens of thousands, or even over $200,000. Stay tuned because in the next part we will go even deeper into the details. We will examine the grading process, the specific conditions that make the difference between a coin worth a few dollars and one worth a small fortune. We will also look at real examples from auctions and explore how values have climbed over the years. By the end of this video, you will have all the knowledge you need to understand why the 1991 D penny has captured the imagination of collectors and why it continues to shine as one of the most remarkable modern rarities in American coinage. So buckle up, grab your coin jar, and let's begin this incredible journey into the world of the 1991 D 1 cent USA coin.